In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to get started with YouTube ads, no matter what kind of business you run. So this is how we've generated over $30 million in all kinds of niches, including e-commerce, software, info products, done for you, lead generation, and more. To give you an example, this client over here sells a high-ticket info product, and we helped them do over $7 million in sales with YouTube ads. And then we also helped our client Indestructible Shoes sell over $1 million with YouTube ads, selling physical products, basically shoes. So before we get into this video, we're giving away our 26-page Ultimate YouTube Ads Targeting Guide PDF. So it's like a 26-page guide. All you have to do is comment your biggest takeaway you got from this video, and one of us will reach out to you and send the guide over your way. In this video, I'm going to show you how to shoot really great YouTube ads, how to script them, how to do the targeting, set up tracking, and how to scale your ads. If you watch this video till the end, you'll learn how to run your very first YouTube ads for your business. And if you're an agency, you'll learn how to run ads for your clients. So let's get right into it. So the first question I get is why YouTube? The first reason why is the high quality of leads on YouTube. One of the reasons that YouTube ads is so effective is because of the high lead quality. People on YouTube are in education mode. So if you're watching this video, you're here learning, and a lot of people are on YouTube to learn. And because of that, leads you get when people are in the process of learning are often interested leads who are actually interested in purchasing your product or service. We've noticed that for higher ticket programs, YouTube ads often convert significantly better. The higher ticket the program, the better YouTube ads does. Another key advantage of YouTube is that video ads allow you to build a much stronger connection with your audience before they hit your landing page. So video as a format is extremely powerful as compared to, let's say, image ads on Facebook. So video allows you to build a strong connection and leave a strong impression on your viewers. Now, because of that factor, you have a higher chance of going viral with YouTube ads. For example, we helped Kino Body go viral with YouTube ads with his Bruce Wayne ad. And really the reason for that was he had an amazing ad and we just advertised it all over YouTube and people just started sharing it. Other YouTubers started making video. He got featured in Vice. So there's that virality factor with YouTube that is just really, really powerful. So how do you script a YouTube ad? So let me give you a really easy formula to follow when you're scripting your first YouTube ad. We'll keep it simple. The first element of the ad is the hook. So the hook is basically where you grab their attention and you make sure they keep watching. There could be many types of hooks, right? And you can combine different types of hooks to come up with some pretty cool ideas. So I'll give you an example. One type of hook is a physical action hook. So I'll give you an example. For one of our clients, Indestructible Shoes, what we did is we had an opening scene where a hammer fell on a guy's shoe, right? So obviously that's an interesting scene because of the fact that you assume that a hammer falling on this guy's foot is gonna hurt him a lot, but he actually looks at you and smiles, and that immediately grabs attention. So that's an example of a physical hook. Now you could also say a controversial statement. For example, if you're targeting, let's say, Amazon FBA sellers, right? And you're selling them a software, you could open up with a controversial statement such as, did you know that almost every Amazon software out there uses completely inaccurate data when it comes to keyword searches, right? So somebody who's actually into the Amazon niche, perhaps is interested in Amazon software, would immediately hear that and be like, wait, really? What's the reason for that? They'll want to keep watching more. So the hook essentially grabs their attention in so they keep watching more, and you kind of are creating an open loop for them to keep watching the video. Now, depending on the hook, your transition is going to be different, but generally within the first 30 seconds, I like to build credibility. It could be something such as, hey, this is Shash. I've helped clients like Amazing Selling Machine, Kino Body, etc., scaled with YouTube ads, right? You're giving them a statement that shows that, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's doing and he's an expert at this, right? So you want to definitely have some credibility building in there in this first 30 to 45 seconds while you're kind of showing them what your offer is or what your sales argument is. It doesn't have to be that, oh, you worked with X clients. It could be something like, hey, I've been featured in Forbes magazine, or maybe you've had some big industry publication give you an award, or maybe you're a 2 Comma Club award winner. So you can essentially use different forms of credibility, but you want to do that because it shows people that, hey, this guy's legit and I should listen to him, right? Now, let's say you've hooked their attention in, maybe you've given them a little bit of information on what you're actually offering them. You've built credibility, and then you've gone a bit more deep into what your actual offer is. So after that, when I've built credibility and shown them what my basically sales pitch is a little bit, I want to have a call to action. So I want to tell them, hey, so I made a free training where I actually go deeper into this one mistake and how you can fix it so you can start scaling your YouTube ads profitably. So the reason for this call to action is a lot of people within 30 to 45 seconds, they'll like what you have to hear and they want to click, but you want to give them a reason to click, right? So we like that early call to action within the first 30 to 45 seconds so people go and click through on the ad. After that, you can go more deep into the benefits of what you're offering. So perhaps what you can do is tell them that, hey, so in this free training, I'm going to cover bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3. And this is a structure that works really well. When you actually have that early call to actions, and then for everybody who's unconvinced, you tell them why they should watch the training and give them more reasons to go watch it. Now, at a certain point, you want to add in some more social proof. So this could be something like adding in a couple examples of your students that have done really well, or perhaps clients that have done really well. So when I mean social proof, I mean social proof from people just like them, right? Initially, when you build credibility, perhaps you told them how you worked with some celebrity clients, or perhaps you told them how you were featured in Forbes, etc. So that's a different form of social proof, which is much more authority and credibility. But now you want to actually show them, let's say, reviews or testimonials from people just like you. So that could be something like showing them a scrolling window of Amazon reviews of the physical product you're selling, or it could be perhaps talking about a couple of your students who followed this training and got some amazing results. Now from there, you want to make sure you have your second call to action, so anybody who's not clicked yet has an opportunity to click, and you tell them, hey, I want you to click the link above or below to go opt in for the free training. It's a 20-minute video, and you're basically priming them to take that action by telling them what the training is and what's inside and what they're gonna watch and how long it is. You're priming them to actually follow through with this training. And after that, once the ad's finished, you want to add a countdown timer. So you basically have a little 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So people who haven't clicked yet have a 5 to 6 seconds more to click before they go on to their next video, at which point the chances of them clicking on the ad are 0. So that's the rough script structure, right? Now, there are a few points I want to make. First is the importance of tone and tonality. So you really want to make sure if you're shooting an ad and you're speaking, you're on camera, that you have a very engaging voice. So what this means is you do not want to do boring ads. I remember that we had this one client, he had an amazing offer, amazing service, but no matter what we tried, he would just not be able to produce great ads, and it just meant his ad costs were really high. So the way you get around this is by practicing. So you want to actually take 4 to 5 takes of an ad and you want to warm up. Let's say you have a shooting day with your videographer, or let's say you're doing some selfie ads, and you can do the ads with an iPhone. That's completely fine. You don't need to use a fancy camera. As long as you have good audio, you can literally have an iPhone. Just make sure your hand's not too shaky, or you can put your iPhone on the wall on a counter and then shoot the ad that way. That's totally cool. I've seen selfie ads literally sell millions of dollars in sales, but I do want to emphasize a key point. And that key point is that you really do need to practice before you shoot. So let's say you've set up a shoot and you know you're gonna shoot this day. So I want you to actually run through the ad 5 to 6 times for around 20 to 30 minutes the previous day. So try to actually speak faster, speak slower, but really get familiar with the ad, really get into it. And you wanna make sure you're shooting 2 to 3 ads on the same shoot and really batch them in. So what you want to be doing is when you're practicing, try to speak faster, try to speak slower, try to speak with a louder voice, try to speak with a quieter voice, like really have that range and really get a feel for when you want to expand that range. And sometimes you might want to emphasize key points with using a louder or quieter or faster or slower voice. So do this for around 20 to 30 minutes before you shoot, and then the day you shoot, make sure to go through the ad at least 5 or 6 times, right? You want to at least have 5 or 6 takes to really get a great ad. And this is so key. So I've noticed this where when I've shot ads and I've really focused on getting them done right, they will literally have a 2 times higher click-through rate, even though the script is the same. It could be the same script, but because I really put the effort in getting the tonality down, it will literally have a 2 times higher click-through rate. So the next key part of shooting your ad is actually editing it, right? So let's say you've scripted the ad, you've shot it and really nailed down the audio, the video, and your tonality. The third part is actually editing. So I recommend hiring an editor. Honestly, a lot of business owners I see they try doing their own editing. It doesn't work that well. Usually getting an editor can really help if you work with them closely and just get your ads done properly. But the key things I want you to really focus on when you're editing is making sure there's a lot of action going on in the video. You're using, for example, text captions. So you emphasize key points with text. Perhaps you have fade-ins and fade-outs. So sometimes the camera zooms in a bit, sometimes the camera zooms out, and that way you can emphasize key points. And you also want to try having different transitions and so on. There's a really good rule I learned from Parker Walbeck, and you should check out his YouTube channel because it's really good. But what I learned is they have something called a 10-second rule. And basically what the 10-second rule is, you shouldn't have 10 seconds in an ad or a video without something happening on the screen in terms of editing. Other options for editing, including adding background colors, adding in arrows to point to the call to action links, and so on. So guys, another key point I want to make in terms of shooting ads is that e-commerce ads versus info product and lead gen ads can be different. If you're doing info product, you can be in the ad. If you're doing lead generation for, let's say, mortgage, solar, etc., you can be in the ad, or you can hire an actor or hire different actors, but essentially you can do a talking head style video ad quite easily in that niche. Now for e-commerce, what you'll usually want to do is actually hire an agency, and I recommend watching my video on how to shoot e-commerce video ads. I have a video, there'll be a card link and there'll be a link in the description that basically, or you can just go in the search box and look up Shash Singh, how to shoot e-commerce video ads, right? Because I have a 15-20 minute video on exactly how to do that, because it is a bit different. You need to make sure you're focused on the product. You need to make sure that it's an engaging, demonstrative ad, but it also is funny and entertaining. And it generally requires more production. You'll need to have a videographer, or you need to be good at video to do that, right? So it's not like an info product ad where you can just get in front of the camera and just talk. Usually with e-commerce products, there needs to be more than that, because a lot of e-commerce products, you need to show them being used, right? And with e-commerce ads, really, if you have a product that can be shown visually, you'll do extremely well.
Okay guys, now let's quickly talk about tracking. I'm not going to bore you guys with super technical tracking details, but I'm just going to give you the basics that you need to be able to really get the tracking down. So the tools we're going to use here, Google Ads conversion tracking. Now, basically with the tracking, what you essentially can do is you can set up conversions with Google Ads conversions. So you go to this tools and settings, you click on conversions, and then you will click the plus button, and usually it's going to be a website conversion, right? So let's say you can either do leads, or you can, for example, if somebody is opted in, you can put them as a contact, right? And if somebody purchased, you can put them as a purchase. So for example, let's say they're a lead. So we'll call this lead opted in, right? Usually I don't use a value for leads, and I click on this one, right? Because really a person could opt in multiple times, but we really only count the first one. And yeah, we keep the click through and the view through at 30 days and 1 day. And you would click create and continue. Now at this point, there's a few options, right? If you have a web developer, you can email the tag, you can install the tag yourself, which is the manual way. What I suggest is Google Tag Manager. So using Google Tag Manager allows you to really install tags really easily. So what Google Tag Manager is, it's basically a tool that allows you to place different tags, and tags are things like Facebook pixel, the Google conversion tracking pixel, the Google remarketing tag. And with Google Tag Manager, you install it once on your website, right? So let's say you use ClickFunnels, look up how to set up Google Tag Manager on ClickFunnels, set it up once, and then you just go in here and you can basically add tags in here. So instead of having to go inside the website and then hard coding each conversion each time you want to do it, you just go in here, add in a new tag. Let's say it's the Google Ads conversion tracking ad tag. All that you'll do is you'll go here, you'll copy conversion ID, bam, conversion label. It's just so easy with Google Tag Manager. And then you'll figure out the triggers. So if, for example, usually you'll trigger a lead on the thank you page after they opt in. So you'll have an opt-in and then you'll take them to a thank you page. So what you'll do is you'll add a new trigger, and let's say visited thank you page for a lead. Click here, page view, and only on some page views. And then you would do, page URL. And then you would add in, let's say, thank you page lead form. Now, obviously, I'm not going to save this because, as you can tell, we have a pretty complex tracking system. I don't want to mess it up and get my tracking guy angry at me, but you get the idea, right? Now, let's talk about how to set up campaigns and the various targeting options with YouTube ads, right? So I'm going to show you how this whole thing works, right? So what you do is you click on a new campaign. You're going to go click on either sales or leads. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. You're going to click on video, and you're going to get this drive conversions. And you'll name your campaign whatever you want to name it. Typically, I'll put in the targeting and the funnel I'm sending them to, as well as the name of ads I'm basically targeting. So, and also put in the date. So I'll do something like put usually the date first, so it's easy to see. And then the bidding types. So there are two main bidding types you want to keep in mind. There's target CPA and there's maximize conversion. So I'll put in something like target CPA. So that means that it's basically what Google's going to try to do is get you conversions at a certain cost per conversion with target CPA. With maximize conversions, it's better for newer accounts, but it can cost more. So let's just say I'm going to do target CPA to get started. If you're just starting out, I would do maximize conversions. So, and then you would do, let's say, your targeting options. So one targeting option could be YouTube advertising keywords, right? Keywords, and then let's say I'm going to put in 3 ads into it. So I'll call this multiple ads because I'm going to put 3 ads into this campaign. So with target CPA, there's typically going to be a bid. So I'm going to put in a $20 target CPA. And I'm kind of telling Google that, hey, I'm willing to pay $20 for a conversion. Now, it doesn't mean that conversions will come in for $20. A lot of times they can come in for lower. So it's something to keep in mind. This is where you set the daily budget. I typically will start campaigns at anywhere from $25 to $50. I'll put in $50. Typically, Google will tell you to spend a lot more budget. However, in my experience, it's better to start with a small budget. If a campaign goes well, you can always increase it. But in my experience, it's always better to be a little bit more conservative. So a pretty big change that's happened recently is you're not able to unselect video partners on the display network. Now, this basically means that your ad will show up on third-party websites, right? Not just on YouTube. And this could be websites like CNN.com, it could be random bloggers websites, etc. So just a heads up on this. This is a recent change and you can't really unselect this. And honestly, I don't really know a workaround other than reusing old campaigns. So just reusing old campaigns and changing the audience and ad on them, but keeping them as they are. Or using Google Ads Editor, which I have a video on the channel if you look up YouTube Google Ads Editor tutorial. And with Google Ads Editor, we're still able to duplicate campaigns and keep them without the display network. I'm sure that will go away soon, so don't assume that it's going to be around for long. But yeah, that's just a heads up on that. I would just put in English if you're targeting the English market. And inventory type, I like expanded because I don't really care if my ads show up in front of, a violent video or whatever. For me, it doesn't make a difference. However, if you're working for a brand that really cares about that, I would choose standard or limited inventory. Now, you can also decide where you want to show up or not show up. Typically, live streaming videos might be a good idea to kind of block those because if people are live streaming something, people are not going to want to really watch a long ad. And yeah, other than that, if you're trying to avoid showing in front of mature audiences, you can do that. Typically, again, as I said, I don't really care too much, so I'll just have live streaming videos there. You can use these site link extensions. We've tested these. You'll want to make sure that you can't send them to the same page you're sending your ad to. So if your ad URL is, let's say, linxdigitalagency.com/case study, you can't send them to the same URL. So what you could do here is you could send them to a frequently asked questions or tips and tricks or another page that's kind of relevant. and then you can get a higher click-through rate with this. So site link extensions can often work quite well if you know what you're doing with them. So this is the product feed. You can show basically products with your ads. This is more for an e-commerce feature, so that's something to keep in mind if you're doing e-commerce. I'll usually do account level conversion settings. I may exclude TV screens because it's kind of hard to click on TV screens. In terms of frequency capping, I will do this. I will typically put in, let's say in terms of impressions per day, 3 impressions per day and then 2 per week. That's a decent number. It makes sure that your ads are not showing to the same people like bazillion times. And yeah, you can even have an ad schedule so you can decide when your ads show up. So I'm going to cut into Past Shash again for another quick update. So back in the day, you could actually choose between responsive and in-stream. So in the past, you would see this. And what this would be is you would be able to choose between responsive and standard. And now you can only choose responsive. And what this essentially means is your ads will show up either as video discovery or in-stream, but you can't basically choose which one. Now, this isn't a big deal. We're getting really good results with responsive campaigns, so we're not really worried about it. In one of our accounts, they're outperforming the in-stream ads quite a bit. So there isn't that much of a downside to this, right? Yes, it is less control, but many people are making it out to be the end of YouTube ads, and in reality, that's not the truth. You just have to get used to the new format, and we'll go over the new format later in this video. And same thing here with your ad group name. You can name the ad group. Typically, what we'll do is we'll have 1 campaign, 1 ad group, and 3 to 4 different ads in there. So the demographics also are a really useful option here. So for example, if you're selling a high ticket info product, you're probably gonna not sell to 18 to 24-year-olds, and you probably want to exclude the lower 50% of household incomes. So we'll play around and test this, but typically we find for high ticket offers, we will either go top 30% or top 50%. And one thing to keep in mind is that household income is only in certain countries, and it's really a lot more accurate in the US. In certain countries like Brazil, for example, it's there, but it's not as accurate. Now, with YouTube, there are a bunch of different targeting options, right? So you have a lot of these audiences. So with audiences, you have multiple types, right? So there is remarketing and similar audiences. So this is basically YouTube's version of remarketing and lookalikes. So remarketing is basically, let's say, people who've already interacted with your YouTube channel or your website or your email list, right? People you've uploaded. The other option is similar audiences, which is people that are similar to other people who've taken action. So it's people who are similar to your YouTube viewers, people who are similar to converters, people who are similar to website visitors. So that's kind of Google's version of lookalike audiences. We haven't had amazing success with them, but they're worth testing out, especially if you can layer them with something else to make them narrower. So an incredible custom audience that you can use is custom intent audiences, which are basically based on what they're searching on google.com. So in our case, as you can see, if they're searching for YouTube advertising, we can target them on YouTube with that custom audience. So that's a really cool targeting idea. Optimized targeting is a new feature. What it does, it uses your landing page information, your website, etc., to help optimize your ads. You can disable this after. We haven't really tested this because it's a very new feature, so we're still the jury's still out on this. Now, there are more targeting options, right? There's actually, even in audiences, there's a lot more audiences in here, right? So on top of these custom audiences, there's in-market and life events. So in-market is when they're searching for something. So for example, they could be looking for certain business services. So if you're, let's say, an staffing and recruitment company, there is an audience for people who are looking for staffing and recruitment services. So again, this is a really, really useful targeting option. So with life events, you can target people who are looking at creating new businesses, look at people who just graduated college, people who are renovating their home or are going to renovate it, even marriage, moving, people who've gotten a new pet or a new cat or dog, people who are buying a home soon, right? So there's a gold mine of targeting options here. And then you also have other options like keywords, where basically you target YouTube videos based on their metadata. So if a YouTube video has a certain title and you, let's say, put in, let's say, e-commerce advertising, So YouTube will go out and find videos related to e-commerce advertising and show your ad in front of those videos. So that's one option. So topics are basically videos about certain subjects. So then YouTube will show your videos in front of certain topics. So as you can see, if I wanted to, I could click business and industrial, and then I can go down here and go into advertising and marketing. And then I can target people who are watching videos about email marketing or direct mail marketing. And there's so many of these. So there's like SEO services, I believe, as well. And then the last one is placements. So placements allows you to target channels and videos that are about specific targeting. So one really great tool we use is this tool called TubeSift. So you can log in here. You can actually put in a keyword and it will give you a bunch of videos about that topic. So let's say we want dieting tips for keto, right? Let's say you have a keto product that helps you lose weight. So now you have a bunch of really popular videos that are about keto and weight loss, and you can basically show your ad in front of these videos. So let's say you're selling a high-ticket coaching program on how to scale your Amazon business. So let's say scale Amazon business. You can enter that keyword. And now you're getting a bunch of videos that are all about scaling Amazon. It does take a little bit of time to pull up these results, but you can just let this run on the background. And once this is done, get the links from here, cut, go into enter, paste, and then you have your placements. Now you're targeting videos about Amazon. Perfect. And then you would throw your ad in here. Okay, so now we're actually going to show you how to set up your ad. So the first thing you need to do is actually go into YouTube and get your ad URL. Now, if you haven't uploaded your ad already, what you can do is click this plus button, click upload video. So you'll need to create a YouTube account, which you can do with any Gmail account. But then you go in there, click that button, upload video, set it as unlisted, and then grab this URL here and go inside Google Ads and put it in here, right? So what you're going to see here is in the past, you could choose between responsive and in-stream, and now it's only responsive, which means you have both video discovery ads. So this is a video discovery ad. And then you also have the in-stream format, which is this right here, which is the traditional YouTube ad. Now, we've had great results with both formats, so this is completely normal. Do not worry about it. You'll still get great results with YouTube ads, but there are a few key differences. The first thing you'll notice is there's a lot less copy on the in-stream format. On the in-stream format, what you have here is this headline right here. And then you also have this call to action button. And then obviously you'll have your display URL, your final URL, etc. But you're not going to have these two right here. These are just for the responsive format. So if you look at this responsive format, you will see that this is the long headline and this is our description. So this gives you a lot of copy. And what you can do with this is you can actually split test the copy here and be able to really increase click-through rates by split testing ad copy. Now, keep in mind with this current format with video action ads, which is, basically target CPA and maximize conversions, you are not going to have video discovery on the desktop. On desktop, all you're going to have is in-stream. So if you try to click on video discovery on desktop, all you see is in-stream right here. And that's how that works. Another thing to keep in mind is your ads will show up on Google Video Partners. Like we discussed, that is compulsory and you don't have the option to change that now. So what you're going to have to do is essentially make sure to take a look at how your ad looks like on the Video Partner side. So over here, you can see that on mobile, you have the video discovery option as well as the in-stream option. So these will show up on third-party websites. So for example, this in-stream ad will show up in front of videos in other websites, while this may show up on other pages on their website as well. So these are going to show up in third-party websites. Just keep that in mind. On the desktop version of Google Video Partners, you're only going to have it show up as in-stream in front of videos. So if you're, for example, you're on a news site and you click on a video, you may actually get shown an in-stream ad. Now, one last thing to keep in mind is you can also create a companion banner. So a companion banner is basically an image or a group of images that you can upload. Essentially with in-stream ads, what it does is if you go on YouTube and in-stream, this is where your companion banner is going to show up. And that's why the format is 300 by 60. And then that's going to increase your click-through rates if you have a really great companion banner right here. I would typically recommend using something that kind of summarizes what your ad is and like the main call to action. So something like click below to get your free training, and then they can go get the free training. So another last key piece of advice I want to give you guys is to name the ad properly. With this ad, for example, since it's this script and storyboard ad, I have that in the name and I keep it consistent between campaigns. If I'm using this ad in a bunch of different campaigns, I'm going to keep it with that same name because that will make analysis much easier. And that's it, guys. When you click this, you will create your first YouTube ads campaign. Now, in the next part of the video, we're going to talk about how you can analyze your results for a campaign and use that data to make better decisions. All right, so once you've actually set up your campaigns and you have had a few days, then you'll want to look at your campaigns to see what performance is like. So I'm looking at one of my campaigns, and one of the things you want to look at is, let's say, your cost per lead. If you're running a VSL funnel where you're sending traffic to VSL, you want to understand your cost per lead, and you want to really aim for under, $15 if you can. $20 okay, $15 is great. $10 and lower for high ticket coaching is awesome. Now, if you're in a niche like health and fitness, you'll probably want to be aiming for $3 to $5, or if you're in a niche like music coaching, etc. Right? So depending on your niche, your cost per lead could be anywhere from $3 to like $25, right? Ultimately, what matters is how much revenue you make from that lead, and that's why some niches are more expensive than others. Now, a few things you want to take a look at is I've also have a custom conversion set up for book calls and the book calls cost per acquisition. So we're getting $173 per book call, which is I'm pretty happy with. And then a few other metrics you want to look at is if you click on this columns, you want to have a click-through rate, you want to have cost per click and average cost per view. So those are also important to take a look at. So the reason I like looking at click-through rate is it tells me how well the ad is doing. So we're getting a 2.96% click-through rate, which tells me the ad is hitting with the audience and people like this video ad. Our cost per click is pretty high because this is a competitive niche. Average cost per view is also quite high because, once again, this is a competitive niche, right? But yeah, overall, I'm decently happy with the performance of this campaign. So that gives you an idea of how to optimize your campaigns. Now from here, what you can do is you can go into the ad level. In this case, we only have one ad, but if you have multiple ads, you can take a look at the performance of each ad and how they're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much how to analyze your campaigns. And once you've got your first campaign set up, then all you have to do is just test more targeting options and test more ads. And then you're off to the races with YouTube ads, and yeah, you could make it work quite well for you.
So guys, that was a very brief introduction to YouTube ads for businesses. Now, I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video. The next video you should watch is our ultimate YouTube ads targeting video. As I mentioned, if you enjoyed this video and you want our targeting guide and the full PDF, make sure to comment with the biggest takeaway you got from this video and we'll send you that PDF. But also go watch the video on the YouTube Ads Ultimate Targeting Guide because that video is a perfect companion to the PDF. They both go well together. So it's like a little resource you can have and then while you're watching the video. So basically it's like the PDF is what you can read and have open while the video is something you can watch, and depending on whether you're visual or a reader. So go watch that video. I'll see you around.